This is it. Championship case 16 of 16. It took us a few weeks because we had to wait for those last few playoff spots to be filled in. But this is it also for Martin Truex Jr. This will be his final NASCAR playoffs appearance in the NASCAR Cup Series. Looking to finish with a storybook ending, finish it with a championship. We've not seen a retiring driver make the championship four since Jeff Gordon in 2015. Can he replicate that magic that Gordon had and then go one step forward and win the championship? And I will say there's one similarity to Gordon. He made the playoffs, it got a little bit close there, and he was winless heading into the playoffs. But there are some good tracks for Martin Truex Jr. in this playoffs to potentially make a championship four run. Truex this season, he is the last seed, the 16 seed, 4 playoff points. He does have 3 stage wins. He has 1 extra bonus point from finishing 10th in the standings. He has 4 top 5s, 9 top 10s on the season. Has led 489 laps. He could have multiple wins this season, but poorly timed cautions, late race things happen, and unfortunately he's winless. Now, when we look at these first couple of rounds, this is my concern for Truex, is that there's wild card races, and Truex historically at the super speedways has not been great. In his long Cup Series career, he's never actually won at a super speedway. We look at this first race, Atlanta, and well, if it was old Atlanta, he'd be having a great time because he had a long 8-race top 10 streak at Atlanta at the old one, but unfortunately at the new Atlanta, 1 top 10. He has an 11th, a 19th, a 29th, and a 12th other than that. Then we go to Watkins Glen, and it gets much better. Martin Truex Jr., a great road course racer, has finished in the top 10 in 6 out of the last 7 races at Watkins Glen, including a win in 2017 and a couple of runner-ups in 2018 and 2019. Finished 6th in this race last year. Now, it's expected to have heavy tire wear at Watkins Glen, which plays very well for the veterans of the sport who know how to manage their tires. We saw this at Bristol in the spring, which, speaking of Bristol, Martin Truex Jr., while he hasn't won there, he finished 2nd in the spring. Did he have the best car? Well, we don't really know because those tires made it difficult to tell. But Martin Truex Jr., with his experience, with his knowledge, was able to manage his tires well enough and have a shot at that win. Ultimately, he fell short, but it's going to be his last Bristol night race, a track he's always wanted to win at. He's got a great shot to win. This first round, despite not having a lot of points, I actually feel pretty good about Truex advancing. I know they've struggled a bit as of late, but as long as he doesn't do what he did at Darlington and just wreck himself, I think he should get out of this first round. I think he can be top 5 at Bristol, top 10 at Watkins Glen, and survive Atlanta maybe. As for the second round, Kansas, he's going to be a factor for the win. Finished 4th in the spring, would have won this race if it wasn't for a late race Kyle Busch spin. And he's got great finishes. In fact, 9 of his last 10 races, he's finished in the top 10, including multiple top 5s, laps led, whatever you call it. And the one time he didn't finish in the top 10 was because on lap 2 of the race last year in the fall, he had a flat tire. So Martin Truex Jr. at Kansas, it's a great possibility that he's going to win. We know how good he is at Kansas, how good Toyota is at Kansas. He's won there multiple times. Martin Truex Jr. will be a factor for that win. And unlike that first round, it's going to be a little bit tougher because, one, the points, it's going to be less points of a points cushion in a sense. Well, he doesn't really have a cushion, but you understand what I'm saying. Like he's got more competition in this round, whereas this first round, he can rely on other people having problems. Then we go to Talladega. Once again, Martin Truex Jr. at Super Speedways is a little iffy. I don't know if that's the right word. He most recently finished 11th. He hasn't had a top 5 or a top 10 since the spring of 2022. And in fact, that's his only top 10 since 2015. So Martin Truex Jr. at Talladega is snake bit, safe to say. I don't think he can afford a bad race there. And we go to the Roval, another road course. It's been 4 years since he's gotten a top 10. Realistically, to get out of this round, I don't think it's a must-win at Kansas, but obviously that takes a lot of stress out of you. I think a top 5 with a lot of stage points at Kansas, surviving Talladega and getting a top 15 and then a top 10 at the Roval, that gets you through. I really do think that. It's going to take a lot at Kansas. They cannot mess up at Kansas. They have got to have winning speed at Kansas. Even if they don't win, a top 5 is going to have to do. Then we go to that round of 8. that round of 8 is terrific for Martin Truex Jr. Las Vegas, he has a long streak, an 8-race streak of top 10 finishes. In fact, you have to go back to 2017. 13 of his last 14 races, he's finished in the top 10. He has a couple of wins at that track. He's done great. Remember, back in the day, he was 1.5 mile Martin. There's 2.5 miles in this round of 8. Homestead Miami Speedway, where he won his first championship back in 2017. He's had some good results there. He's finished second in 2019, second in 2018, won obviously in 2017, top 10 in 2022, third place in 2021. Last year they had an engine problem, but they scored stage points, and he's going to be a factor. And unlike Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, Daniel Suarez, those guys with not a lot of points, I actually think Truex, I think at the end of the day it will probably be a must win, but Truex, if things happen, I think he could point his way in. If he could win at Kansas and get a few more bonus points, because he could realistically run top 5 at all these races. He ran 18th in the fall at Martinsville, and in the next gen era, he's only got one top 10, so Martinsville hasn't treated him as nicely. But it's still Martinsville, and it's Martin Truex Jr. Martinsville, he's won there a couple of times. I think he could realistically be a factor in any of these races, but I think Vegas is his best opportunity. If he wins, it'll be at Vegas. And if he gets to Phoenix, well, Phoenix, as I said with the Ty Gibbs video, Toyota was great at Phoenix in the spring. They've got a great opportunity to pull off a championship. And if it's Martin Truex Jr., once again, what a story it would be. He finished 7th in the spring, 6th the last fall, led 55 laps in this spring race. He's got an opportunity to do something special here. I don't know if he'll do it. You'll see my playoff predictions tomorrow. I'll do my full bracket, but Martin Truex Jr. does have the opportunity to do something special here. So let me know what your thoughts are on Martin Truex Jr.'s chances. Where do you think he could get his last win in his career? It's going to be a tough grind for him in this playoff schedule with not a lot of playoff points, but it's possible. So thanks for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this series. We do it every year, all 16 playoff drivers. I always enjoy doing it for whoever it may be. This year's lineup was wild. Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, Harrison Burton. Who would have thought? What a wild year for this series, but we'll have the full playoff preview tomorrow, full playoff predictions tomorrow. You'll see my bracket, you'll see my champion, my Final Four, my Elite Eight, my 12, whatever we call it, 12, Sweet 16, whatever. But thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and tomorrow, full playoff preview.